मैम आपका।
Okay, thank you. Okay, class, today we are going to the planning function of the business organization and management. There are 5 functions: planning, organizing, directing, staffing, and controlling. So planning is your first function. So start with the definition first. What is planning? So planning is the primary function of management that involves formulating a future course of action for accomplishing a specific purpose. So planning enables managers to decide what tasks to do, how to do the task, when to do the task, and by whom the task has to be done. So basically planning का काम क्या कि ये डिसाइड करना कि क्या आपको काम करना है, कैसे करना है, कब करना है और किसके द्वारा करना है. So this is the what we are going to do in the planning. Next is, so these are the topics जो आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे. Planning definitions, importance, characteristics, process, limitations, types. To start with, importance of planning. So अगर importance की बात करें, planning and management is explained as the following points. The first is forms good goals. जैसे कि नाम से justified है कि अगर हमारे बिजनेस का कोई भी ऑब्जेक्टिव है तो विदाउट प्लान इट कैन नॉट बी अकम्प्लिश्ड. सेकेंड, इट रिमेन्स एज अ कॉन्टिन्यूस प्रोसेस. प्लानिंग एक ऐसा फंक्शन है जो एक कॉन्टिन्यूस प्रोसेस है, क्योंकि एवरी स्टेप जितना भी हम काम करेंगे उसमें हमें हर स्टेप पे प्लानिंग की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है, तो इट्स अ कॉन्टिन्यूस प्रोसेस. थर्ड, प्लानिंग गिव्स डायरेक्शन. प्लानिंग कहीं ना कहीं हमें डायरेक्शन प्रोवाइड करता है कि हमें कौन सा पाथ फॉलो करना है, कौन से डायरेक्शन में जाना है. सो दिस इज डन बाय द प्लानिंग. फोर्थ, इट टैकल्स अनसर्टेनिटी. ऑब्वियसली अगर बिजनेस में कोई भी लॉसेस होते हैं, कोई भी अनसर्टेनिटी हो जाती है, तो उसको टैकल कैसे किया जा सकता है? ड्यू टू दी प्लानिंग. फिफ्थ पॉइंट की बात करें तो मिनिमाइजेस डुप्लीकेशन एंड वेस्टफुल एक्टिविटीज. ओके, सो कहीं ना कहीं अगर हम प्लानिंग करके चलते हैं, जो जो डुप्लीकेशन वर्क होता है, जो हम बोलते हैं ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज हो, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं वेस्ट से मिनिमाइज किया जा सकता है. नेक्स्ट, इट सपोर्ट्स एंड प्रमोट्स इनोवेटिव आइडियाज. कि कहीं ना कहीं प्लानिंग हेल्प करता है आपको इनोवेटिव आइडियाज को प्रमोट करने में. एंड इट ऑल्सो हेल्प इन टेकिंग डिसीजन मेकिंग, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली आफ्टर टेकिंग अ डिसीजन यू गो थ्रू अ प्लान. एंड नेक्स्ट इज सेट स्टैंडर्ड्स फॉर कंट्रोलिंग फंक्शन. कंट्रोलिंग हमारे फंक्शन का फिफ्थ फंक्शन है. सो कहीं ना कहीं ड्यू टू द प्लानिंग, आफ्टर प्लानिंग व्हेन यू गो थ्रू द फोर्थ स्टेप, देन फिफ्थ फंक्शन, कहीं ना कहीं स्टैंडर्ड सेट करने में भी प्लानिंग हेल्प करता है. And last, facilitates coordination. It also helps in facilitate coordination between individuals and the groups working in the organization. So there are more importances are there. Okay, so there are some points are there from this book. Again, I'm repeating, CV Gupta you can purchase for the subject. The first point is there is helps in facing environmental changes. कि कहीं ना कहीं जो every organization है operates within the overall socio-economic and political environment of a country. अरे यार मैं कैसे इंटरप्ट करूं? Okay. Business environment has become increasingly prevalent. There is a student who is continuously messaging कि link share कर दो, I want to join the class. I'm sharing the number, you can help him out. Okay. Wait, class. Okay. So business environment has become increasingly turbulent. The long-term success of a business enterprise depends to a great extent upon how it responds to the changes in its environment. So need for strategy arises due to the dynamic environment. Strategies are helpful in facing environmental changes. While formulating strategies, an organization identifies the threats and opportunities posed by likely future environment. So it prepares itself to successfully face the threats and exploit the opportunities by formulating strategies. So next is provides direction जो भी हमने discuss किया कि corporate strategy serve as a long-term guide towards the achievement of the objectives. It provides answers to some vital and crucial questions such as कि what business are we in? What business should we be in? And who are our customers, etc. Okay. तो कहीं ना कहीं ये डायरेक्शन प्रोवाइड करता है कि हम कौन से बिजनेस में काम कर रहे हैं, किसमें हमें होना चाहिए और कौन हमारे कस्टमर्स होंगे. That helps in providing direction by the planning. Okay, so third point, optimum utilization of resources जो मैंने अभी डिस्कस किया, minimum and waste, minimizing the waste. क्या है इसमें basically corporate strategy indicate how the resources of the organization should be marshaled and deployed for the best results. It ensures more efficient and effective utilization of the organizational resources. For example, time, money, talents, etc. Next, facilitates coordination and control. कि जो master strategy है, it relates the different departments and groups of the organizations. It provides a unifying force by focusing attention on common objectives. Strategy basically also simplifies control by prescribing board standards of performance. And the last importance is competitive strength. These strategies are specifically designed to counter the actions of competitors. A competitive strategy is formulated keeping in view the likely moves of the competitors. It helps in maintaining or increasing the firm's market share in the face of the competition. The strategic planning clarifies the objectives of the organization, reduces environmental uncertainty by identifying the key factors for the sources of business, helps in fighting competition in the market, increases the chances of survival and growth of the enterprises. So, ये the importance of planning function. Next, ये points अभी हमने discuss किए. Forms goals remains as a continuous process, give direction, tackles uncertainty, minimizes duplication and wasteful activities, supports and promotes innovative ideas, facilitates decision making, sets standards for the controlling function, facilitates coordination. Now next आता है आपका characteristics of the planning. Now features क्या है planning के? Characteristics basically nature and the features. First, it is a continuous process. कि planning is done for a specific period of time. कि जो planning है एक बार एक specific period of time के लिए की जाती है. And plans are reformed at the end of that specific period as per the new requirements and changing condition. जो मैंने बोला कि continuous process है, जैसे जैसे हमें requirement होगी हम वैसे वैसे plans को change करते रहेंगे. So planning goes on. Planning चल रही है till the existence of an organization. And issue and problems keep cropping up and plans are needed to tackle the problem effectively. So this is how it works. Next आता है intellectual process. Planning requires creative thinking or visualize the future situation and frame plans accordingly. So it is the outcome of the manager's thinking process based on their experience and the knowledge. कि obviously planning जो कर रहे हैं uses their thinking process, तो कैसे based on their experience and the knowledge. Now next आता है futuristic approach कि planning is conducted to achieve future organizational goals while efficiently utilizing organizational resources. And this is done by predicting future situations and making forecasts. ये कहीं ना कहीं futuristic approach है क्योंकि it is done by predicting future situations and making forecast. Next, flexible process है. Planning involves a flexible process. Since the future is uncertain, unpredictable, changes in the business environment takes place in the form of the competition, government policies, customer demand, etc. So that there is always room for flexibilities planning to incorporate future changes. Next, primary function of the management. The planning is done prior to all other functions of the management. जो मैंने अभी discuss किया, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. So it is the first, foremost, and base managerial function of any organization. The effectiveness of a management's plan decides the competence of the management's activity for the planned time period. कि कहीं ना कहीं जो competency है of the management activity for the planned time period, it is determined by the management planning. Next, assist decision making. Next feature is assist decision making. So planning comprises decision making because it is an activity of making choices from the available alternatives for performing tasks. So here planning comprehends decision making as its indispensable part. कि कहीं ना कहीं आप इसको अलग नहीं कर सकते. अगर सारे फंक्शंस हैं तो प्लानिंग को आप अलग नहीं कर सकते. इट इज द असिस्ट डिसीजन मेकिंग. Next feature is goal oriented approach. कि planning emphasizes defining the aims, objectives and goals of the organization. It also involves the identification of alternative course of action to decide on a suitable action plan which should be undertaken for the attainment of the goals. Next is pervasive. Planning is regarded as pervasive because it is present in all the segments of an organization. It is required at all levels of the management. The scope of planning differs at different levels of management and departments. मतलब वो क्या बोल रहा है कि प्लानिंग कहीं ना कहीं हर सेगमेंट में यूज की जाती है, हर लेवल पे मैनेजमेंट के हर लेवल पे प्लानिंग यूज की जाती है. बस ये कि स्कोप है जो डिफरेंट लेवल पे उसका चेंज हो जाता है मैनेजमेंट का और डिपार्टमेंट के. So this is how it is pervasive. Next topic is process of planning. Process of planning. The process of planning involves a number of steps in chronological order, which are given below. There are 6 steps over there. Setting organizational objectives. Second, examine business environment. Third, accessing available alternatives and selecting the most appropriate alternatives. Next, formulating secondary plans, ensuring cooperation and participation, and following up. So first step क्या कहता है? Setting organizational objectives. The planning. Before doing planning, the first step is the planning process begins with the first step of establishing organizational objectives. It involves identifying organizational goals to be achieved by examining internal and external business conditions. For this, the answers to be given for the following questions. What is to be achieved? What actions are to be taken? Who is to perform it? How is it to be undertaken? And what should be the time frame? So while setting organizational objective, these questions are put to be in mind कि आपको क्या अचीव करना है, क्या एक्शंस आपने लेने हैं, किसे परफॉर्म करना है, कैसे परफॉर्म करना है और किस टाइम पे आपको परफॉर्म करना है. सेकंड स्टेप क्या कहता है, एग्जामिनिंग बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट. अब आपने प्लानिंग की, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स को सेट कर लिया. सेकंड स्टेप क्या कहता है कि अब आपको बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट को एग्जामिन करना है. बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट, द नेक्स्ट स्टेप इन द प्लानिंग प्रोसेस टू एग्जामिन इंटरनल एंड एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स दैट इन्फ्लुएंस द बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट. इंटरनल फैक्टर जैसे स्ट्रेंथ्स क्या है हमारी मैनेजमेंट की, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की, क्या वीकनेसेस है, फॉर एग्जांपल द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ द अवेलेबल रिसोर्सेज ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. एंड एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स की बात करें तो इन्वॉल्व थ्रेट्स एंड अपॉर्चुनिटी, फॉर एग्जांपल overall economic and industrial environment and competitive position of the organization. So ये एग्जामिन करते हैं कि क्या हमारे इंटरनल फैक्टर्स हैं और क्या हमारे एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स हैं जो हमें अफेक्ट कर सकते हैं. तो सेकंड स्टेप ये है कि हम एग्जामिन करेंगे क्या हमारा बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट है. थर्ड स्टेप, accessing available alternatives and selecting the most appropriate alternatives. अब हम लोगों ने फैक्टर्स को इवैल्यूएट करना है कि किस सोर्सेज को हम यूज करके आगे बढ़ेंगे. सो अब यहाँ पर हमने सेकंड स्टेप में वो सोर्स आइडेंटिफाई किए. अब हम यहाँ पे अवेलेबल ऑल्टरनेटिव्स को एक्सेस करते हैं. सपोज वो वाला फैक्टर वर्क नहीं किया तो नेक्स्ट ऑल्टरनेटिव हमने क्या पिक करना है. ठीक है, क्योंकि जब हम प्लानिंग को एग्जीक्यूट कर रहे होंगे तब हमारे पास ये टाइम नहीं होगा कि हम उसके ऑल्टरनेटिव सर्च करेंगे वहां बैठ के. तो हमारे पास ऑल्टरनेटिव पहले से प्री प्लान होंगे तो हम उसमें से पिक कर लेंगे कोई भी. सो सेलेक्ट द मोस्ट अप्रोप्रिएट ऑल्टरनेटिव. फिर हम एक मोस्ट अप्रोप्रिएट ऑल्टरनेटिव को सिलेक्ट करेंगे. सो द नेक्स्ट स्टेप इन द प्लानिंग प्रोसेस is to evaluate all available alternatives and then select the best alternatives. Generally, an alternative is evaluated against risk associated, cost involved, upcoming benefits, etc. ठीक है. So next step आता है आपका formulating secondary plans. कि आपके secondary plans क्या हैं. The successful accomplishment of the organizational objectives is confirmed by formulating secondary or alternative plans. These plans are derived for various activities, units, departments, etc., or indicate a sequence in which various tasks are to be performed and the time schedule for the performing those tasks. कि कहीं ना कहीं जो प्लान्स होते हैं सेकेंडरी प्लान डराइव क्या से होते हैं वेरियस एक्टिविटीज से. जब आप एक्टिविटीज को परफॉर्म कर रहे होते हैं ना तो फर्दर जो प्लान्स जो जिसको हम सेकेंडरी प्लान्स बोलते हैं, फर्दर प्लान जो डराइव्ड होते हैं फ्रॉम दैट प्लान्स, फ्रॉम दैट एक्टिविटीज, यूनिट्स एंड डिपार्टमेंट, दीज आर द सेकेंडरी प्लान्स. देन वी फॉर्मुलेट दोस टास्क एंड नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज, फिफ्थ स्टेप इज इंश्योरिंग कोऑपरेशन एंड पार्टिसिपेशन. In this step, employee at the middle and the lower level of the management are encouraged to participate in the successful accomplishment of organizational goals. क्योंकि suggestions were given by operating personnel to help the management rectify shortcomings in plans and set things right at the start of the planning process and at the time of its implementation. In this way, planning ensures cooperation and the participation in the organization. And the last step is the following up. Now we have discussed all the things. Now it's this time to follow up your plan जो भी आपने prepare किया. The last step in the planning process is to provide the scope of follow up for determining the value of plans made and implemented. This step involves a continuous review of plans for ensuring their relevance and the effectiveness. So reviewing plans on a continuous basis helps the organization develop sound plans for the future and avoid mistakes that took place while implementing the previous plan. ये लास्ट लाइन में उसने ये बोला कि आप अपने प्लान्स को कॉन्टिन्यूस बेसिस पर रिव्यू करते रहो. अगर आपको लगता है आपका प्लान साउंड नहीं है, कुछ मिस्टेक्स को अवॉइड करने की रिक्वायरमेंट है तो उसे अवॉइड करो एंड इम्प्लीमेंट द प्रीवियस प्लान. ठीक है. Now, ये थे आपके steps of the planning. Next topic we are going to discuss is the limitations of the planning. कि यार क्या लिमिटेशन है, क्या कौन से प्लानिंग के क्या डिसएडवांटेजेस हैं. In spite of several advantages, the planning function also has certain limitations. We have here listed the key limitations of the planning. The first is time consuming, expensive, gap between targets and results, resistance towards change, paperwork, reason for frustration, and problem of over target. Actually, strategic planning suffers from following weaknesses. Like strategic planning involves considerable time and money and efforts. In some cases, it may take years for the strategic planning to function smoothly. So, trained and experienced professionals are required to participate opportunities and threats and to access strengths and weaknesses. Few organizations can afford such professionals, and strategic planning may be in some cases restrict the organization to less risky options. Because the organization may fail to encash attractive opportunities in the environment. Even some organizations defer important decisions due to the short-term compulsion, the shortage of the resources. So go through with the first point here. What is time consuming? Planning turns out to be a time consuming activity because it requires data collection, data analysis, forecasting, etc. for selecting the best future course of the action. For selecting the best future course of action. सेकेंड आता है एक्सपेंसिव. देखो प्लानिंग जब कॉन्टिन्यूस प्रोसेस है और कहीं ना कहीं जब आप ऑथेंटिक डाटा कलेक्ट कर रहे होते हो तो इसमें बहुत ज्यादा कॉस्ट इनकर होती है. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज एक्सपेंसिव. एज आई एम गोइंग टू डिस्कस इट, प्लानिंग रिक्वायर्स एक्सपर्टीज बिकॉज डिसीजन मेकिंग थिंकिंग प्रोसेस है तो कहीं ना कहीं एक्सपर्टीज की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है. तो इट रिक्वायर्स एक्सपर्टीज एंड द कलेक्शन ऑफ ऑथेंटिक डाटा which incurs a lot of cost for the organization. For instance, companies like IBM need to do a lot of planning prior to starting any new venture. For this, such companies also spend a lot on research and pay highly to experts to get their advice. Third limitation is gap between targets and results. The planning is done by top level management or implemented by middle and the lower level management. So this creates a gap between the plan set and actual results achieved because different employees may have different perceptions of accomplishing plans. So this is a gap between the targets and the results. Next are the resistance towards change. Planning often requires changes due to the dynamic business environment. However, as a natural human tendency, employees are always reluctant to accept changes and may not provide their full cooperation. Next आता है paperwork. कि planning involves paperwork as plans cannot be finalized in one go. As I have discussed कि planning एक बार करने से complete नहीं होती है. So it involves paperwork क्योंकि the plans are reworked again and again, and after getting a final plan, subordinates give the copies of the plan to the top level management in a form of report or a proposal to get the plans finalized for the इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. कि हमारा प्लान फाइनलाइज हो चुका है, इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने का टाइम आ गया है, तो जो वो फाइनल प्लान होता है उसकी कॉपी जो सबऑर्डिनेट्स है टॉप लेवल मैनेजमेंट को इन फॉर्म ऑफ रिपोर्ट और प्रपोजल हैंड ओवर कर देता है. तो दिस इज काइंड ऑफ पेपर वर्क डन इन द प्लानिंग. नेक्स्ट, रीजंस फॉर फ्रस्ट्रेशन. कि समटाइम्स क्या होता है, प्लान टारगेट्स आर नॉट अचीव्ड बाय द मैनेजर्स एंड द एम्प्लॉइज irrespective of their best efforts. So such failures frustrate them and cause a lower level of motivation in them. So these are the reasons of the frustration. And the last limitation is problem of over target. The planning sometimes makes the top level management fix targets that are unachievable, and it causes problem of over expectation from employees. So this is the problem of the over targeting. Okay, so the next topic is the types of planning. कि कितने टाइप से प्लान्स होते हैं कि प्लान्स बाइंड्स इंडिविजुअल्स रिसोर्सेज डिपार्टमेंट्स एंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस to achieve specific goals in the future. So plans help design organizational goals effectively, which fits into the hierarchy from top to the lower level of the management. In an organization, there are different types of plans made. क्या स्क्रीनशॉट्स लेते रहना और जो मैं टॉपिक की हेडिंग बोलते हूँ एटलीस्ट उसको कॉपी में राइट डाउन कर लो ताकि ये याद रहे हमने पढ़ा क्या है. So now we are going through the types of plans. Okay. So there are some important types of plans are there. First is strategic plan, tactical plans, operational plans, contingency plans. First is strategic plans. Strategic plans are a framework for an organization. These plans contain the mission of an organization and outline goals to be achieved. Strategic plan aims to turn the vision of an organization into reality. Vision of the futuristic approach. And the strategic plans are long-term and forward-looking in nature and accommodate future growth and expansion of an organization. These plans are generally developed by top management and are implemented by the middle and the lower level management. So ये तो obvious है कि कहीं ना top level के management जो होते हैं वो plans को formulate करते हैं, develop करते हैं और इसको implement कौन करता है? Middle and the lower level management. So for instance, example is there. Varun works as a top level manager for the Dinos Pizza Sales. As a top level manager, so he has to make use of strategic planning to ensure that long-term goals of the organizations are attained. But Varun, in consultation with other top level manager, develops strategic plan for achieving growth, increasing productivity, profitability, and boosting returns on the investment, as all these are the parts of the desired future of the pizzeria. So Varun or other top level managers develop organizational objectives through strategic plan so that middle or lower level managers can create compatible plans aligned with those objectives. So Varun also involved other level personals because strategic plans require multi-level involvement. Clear by example? इसमें एग्जाम्पल में क्या था जो वरुण है वो एक टॉप लेवल का मैनेजर था डायनोस पिज्जा में तो उसको एज अ टॉप लेवल मैनेजर उसको लॉन्ग टर्म गोल सेट करने थे तो उसने इस कंसल्टेशन में अदर जो टॉप लेवल के मैनेजर थे उनसे डिस्कस करके कंपनी की ग्रोथ के लिए प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ाने के लिए प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी के लिए रिटर्न्स बूस्ट करने के लिए एक फ्यूचरिस्टिक अच्छा प्लान क्रिएट किया अब कहीं ना कहीं जो उसने ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल ऑब्जेक्टिव सेट किए वही तो कहीं ना कहीं मिडिल और लोअर लेवल को इम्प्लीमेंट करने हैं सो कहीं ना कहीं जो लोअर मिडिल लेवल मैनेजर्स होते हैं वो भी जो कंपैटिबल प्लानिंग करते हैं प्लानिंग तो वो भी करते हैं वो उन अलाइन करते हैं उन दोज ऑब्जेक्टिव विच आर डन बाय द वरुण एंड द टॉप लेवल मैनेजर तो कहीं ना कहीं बस बात से ये क्लियर करना चाहते हैं जो स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लानिंग है इट रिक्वायर्स मल्टी लेवल इन्वॉल्वमेंट कि टॉप लेवल का भी मिडिल का भी और लोअर का भी उसको तीनों लेवल का इन्वॉल्वमेंट चाहिए दैट फाइनली डन विद द स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लानिंग समझ में आया कि स्ट्रैटेजिक प्लानिंग कहीं ना कहीं रिक्वायर है एट द मल्टी लेवल इन्वॉल्वमेंट तो ये था आपका फर्स्ट स्ट्रैटेजिक प्लानिंग नेक्स्ट आता है टैक्टिकल प्लान्स टैक्टिकल प्लान्स ओके सो टैक्टिकल प्लान्स जो होते हैं दैट आर डेवलप्ड बाय द मिडिल लेवल मैनेजमेंट that are done by the developed by the middle level management for a span of generally less than 3 years. Obviously middle level में तो इसका जो span है वो less than 3 years होता है. तो these plans contain instructions for lower level management on what should be done, how should be done, by whom should be done. So in addition, tactical plans defines tactics which manager adopt for achieving objectives mentioned in the strategic plan. अब कहने की strategic planning हो चुकी है तो कहीं ना कहीं उसको अलाइनमेंट उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए जो भी मिडिल लेवल मैनेजमेंट प्लान कर रहा होता है तो वो सारे इंस्ट्रक्शंस को फॉलो करता है. ठीक है, वो जो भी उसमें राइट डाउन होते हैं कि आपको कैसे काम करना है, क्या काम करना है, कौन सा काम करना है. सो ये सारा चीजें स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लानिंग में मेंशन है. तो उन सब चीजों को ध्यान में रखते हुए मिडिल लेवल मैनेजमेंट टैक्टिकल प्लानिंग करता है. ठीक है, सो टैक्टिकल प्लान्स आल्सो प्रोवाइड इंफॉर्मेशन on resources to be employed. ये प्रोवाइड करते हैं बेसिकली इंफॉर्मेशन ऑन रिसोर्सेज टू बी एम्प्लॉयड एंड वर्क डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन अमंग द सब लेवल्स विद इन ईच डिपार्टमेंट. अब इसी एग्जांपल को कंटिन्यू करते हैं. फॉर इंस्टेंस व्हेन मीरा जो मिडिल लेवल मैनेजर है डायनो पिज्जा में लर्न्स अबाउट वरुण स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लान फॉर इम्प्रूविंग प्रोडक्टिविटी. मुझे पता चला कि वरुण के क्या स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लान है प्रोडक्टिविटी को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए. तो मीरा immediately should begin to think about the possible tactical plans. जैसे ही उसको मालूम होता है कि वरुण के स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लानिंग ये है कि she start to think about the possible tactical plans. So tactical plans for the मीरा include things like वो क्या क्या उसके प्लानिंग हो सकती है वो जो कर सकती है like testing a new process and making pizza in a shorter amount of time or perhaps looking for purchase a better oven that can speed up cooking pizza or even exploring ways to better map out the delivery routes and drivers. अब उसने एग्जांपल दिया कि टेक्निकल प्लानिंग कौन कौन सी प्लानिंग हो सकती है. टेक्निकल प्लानिंग जो मीरा कर सकती है लाइक या तो वो ये नए प्रोसेस को टेस्ट कर सकती है जिससे जो हमारा पिज्जा है वो कम टाइम में बन जाए. सेकंड वो ये सोच सकती है कि हम कोई बेटर ओवन लिया है जो पिज्जा को जल्दी से कुक कर दे या कुछ ऐसे वेज को एक्सप्लोर करें जिससे जो डिलीवरी रूट्स है जो ड्राइवर्स के वो इजी हो सके जिससे कम टाइम में पिज्जा डिलीवर हो सके. देखा जाए तो यही 3-4 चीजें वो सोच सकती हैं. सो एज अ टेक्निकल प्लानर मीरा रिक्वायर्ड टू फॉर्म अ सेट ऑफ द कैलकुलेटेड एक्शन that takes a shorter amount of time and is narrower in scope than the strategic plan but still help to bring the organization closer to its long-term goal. थर्ड आता है ऑपरेशनल प्लान्स. अब एन ऑपरेशनल प्लान इज डेवलप्ड बाय द सुपरवाइजर्स. जो ऑपरेशनल प्लान्स हैं वो कौन बनाता है? सुपरवाइजर्स, टीम लीडर्स, फैसिलिटेटर्स फॉर सपोर्टिंग टेक्निकल प्लान. जो जितने टेक्निकल प्लान मीरा ने डिफाइन किए उनका सपोर्ट कर सके. तो इट गवर्न्स दी कहीं ना कहीं ऑपरेशनल नाम से जस्टिफाई है रूटीनली ऑपरेशनल प्लान्स होते हैं जो आपके डे टू डे रूटीन एक्टिविटीज होती हैं उसको ऑपरेशनल बोलते हैं. So basically it governs the day-to-day operations of an organization. So organizational plans can be of two types. जो organizational plan है वो भी 2 types के हो सकते हैं, namely single use plans, for example like budget, and ongoing plans, जो continuous plans हैं, जो routine पे हमें चाहिए होते हैं. तो these are the organizational plan. For instance, example continue करते हैं हम कि अब यहाँ पे रवि है जो फ्रंट लाइन मैनेजर है डायनो पिज्जा सच में. रवि द फ्रंट लाइन मैनेजर, ठीक है, उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है फॉर द ऑपरेशनल प्लानिंग. ठीक है, ऑपरेशनल प्लानिंग जैसे शेड्यूलिंग एम्प्लॉयज ईच वीक, हर हफ्ते एम्प्लॉयज को शेड्यूल करना, क्रिएटिंग अ मंथली बजट, डेवलपिंग अ प्रमोशनल एडवर्टाइजमेंट फॉर द क्वार्टर टू इंक्रीज द सेल ऑफ अ सर्टेन प्रोडक्ट, और outlining an employee's performance goals for the year and doing an assessment. Order check करना, stocking inventory are the operation plans Ravi need to make and get executed. So a continuing और जो ongoing plan है ये तो one time plan हुआ चलो, लेकिन जो continuing with once and its value is retained over a period of years. The plan undergoes periodic revisions and updates. So following are the examples of the ongoing plans. That is first policy. कि वो बोल रहे हैं ऑनगोइंग प्लान्स वो प्लान्स है जो कहीं ना कहीं ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ ईयर्स रिटेन किए जाते हैं. तो ऐसे कौन से प्लान्स हो सकते हैं जैसे कि पॉलिसी पॉलिसी डेली चेंज नहीं होती है. अगर एक बार पॉलिसी क्रिएट करेगी तो लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए वो सेम रहती है. सो पॉलिसी इज अ ब्रॉड गाइडलाइन followed by managers to deal with the important aspects and areas of decision making. कि जो policies है are referred to as those general statements which explain how managers should handle their routine management responsibility. For example, अगर example के through समझे इसको, एक typical human resource policy of an organization address the matters relating to the hiring of the employees, termination of non-performing employees, performance appraisal as an important culture, pay increases and discipline of the employees. सो कहीं ना कहीं पॉलिसीज हैं कि क्या आपको कितने एम्प्लॉयज हायर करने हैं, किनको टर्मिनेट करना है जो नॉन परफॉर्म एम्प्लॉयज हुए, परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल किसको देना है, पे किसकी इंक्रीज करनी है, डिसिप्लिन ऑफ द एम्प्लॉयज चेक करना है. तो दीज आर द एग्जांपल्स ऑफ द पॉलिसी. नेक्स्ट प्रोसीजर. नेक्स्ट प्रोसीजर now procedure क्या होता है is a standard set of directions that provides step-wise instructions of carrying out activities or tasks for achieving and attaining organizational objectives. For example, typically organizations have procedure and processes to purchase supplies and the equipment. इवन एक वो सप्लाईज और इक्विपमेंट्स को परचेज कर रहे हैं उसका भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का प्रोसेस होता है, प्रोसीजर होता है कि वो कैसे परचेज करेंगे. सो जो प्रोसीजर है ऑफ परचेजिंग सप्लाईज एंड इक्विपमेंट जनरली स्टार्ट्स विद द सुपरवाइजर who completes the purchase requisition. After that, the requisition is then sent for approval to the next level of management. As the requisite gets approved, it is forwarded to the purchase department. It is forwarded to the purchasing department. So amount of the purchase requisition is considered by the purchasing department either to plan an order or to secure quotations bids from several vendors before placing the order. Next आता है आपका rule. A rule is a statement that explicitly guide employees for what they can and can't do it. So rules promote the safety of the employees by placing the do's and don't statement कि ये काम आपको करना है और ये काम आपको नहीं करना है. Not all bad. So it also directs for the uniform treatment and the behavior of the employees in an organization or the business. For example, rules of the absenteeism and punctuality allow supervisors to make discipline related to fair decisions quickly. Like next are the contingency plans. A successful organization depends upon the fact that how intelligently, flexibly, and constantly its management chases, adopts, and masters the changing conditions. A strong management entails to keep all options open approach at all times. This is where contingency planning comes into the organization. In contingency planning, an alternative plan is identified, analyzed, and implemented so that in case the original plans proves, see the video. Misconception. In contingency planning, an alternative plan is identified, analyzed, and implemented so that Okay, class. In contingency planning, an alternative plan is identified, analyzed, and implemented so that in case the original plans proves insufficient, the backup is ready to be used. Disturbance, sorry, please. Just so the backup is ready to use. Maybe little bit Wi-Fi issue. The factors which are beyond manager's control are kept in mind and the alternative future scenarios are prepared carefully. So when unanticipated problems and events occur, managers may need to change their plans. It is best to anticipate that changes during the planning process as things don't always go as expected. Management should develop alternatives to the existing plan and keep them ready for the use when unexpected circumstances occur. So ये थे आपके types of the plans: strategic, tactical, contingency, and operational. Now, next topic is what are the modes of the strategic planning? What are the modes of strategic planning? ये चलती हूँ शिमला. Modes of strategic planning. Entrepreneurial mode. In this mode, the power is centralized in the hands of the chief executive, who is usually the founder of the business. He makes okay. We are going through the modes of the strategy making. कि what are the modes? जैसे आपको strategy making में काम आता है. There are three modes. The first is entrepreneurial mode. In this mode, power is centralized in the hands of the chief executive, who is usually the founder of the business. He makes bold and risk taking decisions largely on the basis of the intuition. He relies on the personal judgment formed through experience, and the entrepreneur is motivated by one overriding goals, namely constant growth. An active search for new opportunities dominates the strategy making process. Choice of the alternative is guided by the entrepreneur's personal preferences rather than by the rule. जो entrepreneurial organization leaps forward in the face of the uncertainty, and the entrepreneur constantly seeks to beat competitors to the punch. Second mode is adaptive mode. In this mode, the strategy maker reacts to each situation as it arises. He confronts the environment as a force to be controlled. An adaptive organization moves ahead timidly in a series of small and disjointed steps. So the adaptive manager generally reacts defensively to the actions of the competitors. So this is how adaptive mode done. And the last is the planning mode. In this mode, the strategy maker analyzes the environment and organization so as to develop a plan for moving into the future. This is formal strategic planning. It provides a strong sense of direction and the framework which is lacking in the earlier modes. Whereas entrepreneurs depends on the hunches and personal judgments, and adaptive managers wait for the future to arrive so that they can observe its shapes. Planners follow a systematic procedure. Planners also make right decisions, but their choices are based on the rational estimates of the cost and beliefs. So in other words, they use a systematic and the structured approach. Now we go through with the evaluation of the strategy. What are the essentials for a good strategy? अगर आप planning कर रहे हैं, क्या-क्या essentials required हैं for a good strategy? The first point is that the internal consistency. Internal consistency. So a business strategy must be consistent with the goals and the policies of the organization. There should be perfect coordination between the objectives and the strategies. Because strategies in different areas of business should be integrated into a strategic framework. Lack of consistency will make implementation of the strategies difficult. So there must be internal consistency between the goals and the policies of the organization. Second point is there key consistency with the environment. Key strategy is basically a response to cope with the changes with the external environment. You know, external environment change hota rehta hai, so we should be dynamic. Our environment is dynamic, so we should make changes according to the environment. So basically, therefore, they should be designed to fit the opportunities and threats of the external environment. It should be based on the reliable forecast of the future trends. So there should be based on the reliable forecast of the future trends. So there is next point is appropriate time horizon. Appropriate time horizon matlab time is a crucial element of a strategy. Time span of the strategy should be adequate enough for the commitment of the resources. While deciding the right time span, objectives and environment of the enterprise should be considered. Should be considered. So realistic की बात करें, next point is realistic. कि a planning, a strategy should reflect the strengths and weakness of the enterprises. So it should be appropriate in the light of the available resources. The strategy should utilize the available resources in the best possible manner. At the same time, the organization's resources should not be overstretched or overstrained. Next point is acceptable degree of risk. Every strategy contains an element of risk and uncertainty. But जहाँ ज़्यादा risk होगा वहाँ ज़्यादा profit होगा. Understood है? But the degree of the risk inherent in a strategy should be such that the enterprise can bear it. Resources should not be committed irrecoverably, nor they should be concentrated. अगर resources जो ठीक है हम लोग बोलते हैं कि हम planning continuous process है next level पे भी कर सकते हैं ठीक है but कहीं ना कहीं जो डिग्री ऑफ जो रिसोर्सेज हैं जो हम यूज कर चुके हैं उन्हें तो फर्दर यूज नहीं कर सकते ना वो तो फिनिश हो गए वैनिश हो चुके हैं सो कहीं ना कहीं इंटरप्रेन्योर को ये बहुत ध्यान में रखना पड़ता है कि कैसे उनको रिसोर्सेज को यूज करना है क्योंकि रिसोर्सेज शुड नॉट बी कमिटेड इरिकवेबली नोर दे शुड बी कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड ऑन द सिंगल एक्टिविटी सो प्रॉपर मैच शुड बी क्रिएटेड बिटवीन द रिस्क एंड द रिटर्न नेक्स्ट आता है वर्केबिलिटी A strategy should be workable and capable of producing results within the constraints and the parameters known to the management. It should be capable of the implementation, both quantitative like sales, volume, market share, profitability, introduction of new products, etc. and qualitative like managerial confidence in strategy implementation, exploitation of the opportunities, facing threats, environmental control, etc. should be set to judge the success of the strategy. Next one is social sanction. The strategy must full ethical and the social responsibility, जो सबसे important आज के टाइम में. Okay. So last topic we are going to discuss is that the determinants of the corporate strategy. What are the determinants of the corporate strategy? Again, there is one mission. The basic mission of the organization restrict the choice of the strategic option. Strategy is formulated to accomplish the mission and objectives. So therefore, any strategy that doesn't contribute to them is rejected. When the goals of the organizations are not clear, it becomes very difficult to formulate an appropriate strategy. ठीक है. Second point की बात करें हम The external environment. External environment strategy is designed to cope up with the opportunities and threats in the external environment. The pressure of the external forces such as competition in the market, government policy, etc. dictate the choice of the strategy. Third point we are going to discuss is the organizational resources. The firm's strength in terms of managerial skills, funds, physical facilities, marketing skills and technology, etc. are an important determinants of the strategy. And strategy has to be formulated within the framework of the resources with the organization can be mobilized. Fourth point is that availability of information. This is the fourth determinant of the corporate strategy. Strategy is based upon the information relating to the internal and external environments. So when adequate and reliable information is not available, development and evaluation of strategic alternatives become difficult. It becomes difficult. And the next point is that the point is personal factors. कि जो attitudes and the value system है of top management का influence the choice of the strategy. For example, एक example is there कि जो managers हैं who prefer low risk may select strategy which does not yield rapid growth even in the expanding markets. कि मान लो कोई मैनेजर है जिसको रिस्क बेयर करना पसंद नहीं है रिस्क वो लो रिस्क लेके चलता है तो कहीं ना कहीं वो स्ट्रेटेजी सिलेक्ट करेगा जो रैपिड ग्रोथ में हेल्प नहीं करेगी एंड एक्सपैंडिंग एनवायरमेंट. So this is the personal factor. And the last point is there, that is time horizon. Sixth determinant of the corporate strategy. A good strategy should have a long time span. But accurate forecasting in the long term is very difficult. So the optimal time span of the strategy depends upon the nature of the environment, managerial decision, and the desired objective. So basically, these are the determinants of the corporate strategy. So, okay, class, today we have discussed हम लोगों ने आज पूरा मैनेजमेंट पूरा प्लानिंग फंक्शन कंप्लीट किया आज बिजनेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन मैनेजमेंट का द फर्स्ट प्लानिंग फंक्शन. हमने इसकी डेफिनेशंस की, इंपॉर्टेंस किए, कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स किए, प्रोसेस किया, एडवांटेजेस किए, डिसएडवांटेजेस किए, इवन मोड्स किए स्ट्रैटेजी मेकिंग के, इसके ऑल्टरनेटिव्स पढ़े, डिटर्मिनेंट्स पढ़े कॉर्पोरेट स्ट्रैटेजी के, और क्या एक गुड स्ट्रैटेजी के लिए एसेंशियल्स रिक्वायर्ड है, इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ अ स्ट्रैटेजी, एसेंशियल्स ऑफ अ गुड स्ट्रैटेजी, ये हमने डिस्कस किया. टुडे वी हैव डिस्कस्ड 12 to 13 topics. That's enough for today. Rest we'll discuss in the next class. In next class we will discuss the second function of the business organization and management, that is organizing.
मैम एंड कर दूं सेशन?
हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी.
थैंक यू मैम.
वेलकम.
हो गया